Welcome back, everyone. It's Stray Faye here with another episode of Cupid Parasite. Alright, we're starting the Shelby route. Just FYI, it's been a while since I actually played this game. I recorded the Common Route episode, and then I put the game down for a while to record a new LP, which was like all Okami. So it's been a while since I played this, so hopefully I remember the voices. Hopefully the audio levels are okay. And I'm also kind of sick, so if there's like any awkward cuts, it's probably just me like aborting the controller and just like leaving to take care of myself. Alright, so what's happening here? It looks like we have a little flashback with Shelby. It's sepia toned. Who's this? Hey, let's go out tonight. Drinks are on me. Oh, awesome. Just give me a second to touch up my makeup. I'm definitely down. Man, this is gonna be so much fun. Awesome, let's meet up at the club at 5 o'clock. See you there. I'm guessing this is Shelby. He's in a classroom. This is like his school days. All anyone can see is my social status. They're all just... Oh, back to the present. Ugh. Ugh. It was just a dream. I hit the alarm. It looked like my nap was over. Was he taking one of those 9-minute power naps? I think I saw a movie. I forgot what it was called. They were like, it's like a CEO lady just like, was it like 101 Dalmatians? No, it was, or Cruella. I think it was Cruella. CEO lady just like takes exactly 9-minute nap, puts like cucumbers on her eyes, and then she's like back and ready to work. Normally, 30 minutes is plenty for me, but that dream just made me feel even more tired. That's why I hate the fact that I have to sleep. I have all these kinds of dreams way too often. What good does it do to dream about my younger days? Thinking about it is a waste of time. I need to just forget about it and focus on my work. For now, I should check my emails. I hadn't been asleep long, but I was already buried in messages. I scrolled through them looking for anything, especially important. One message caught my eye. It was an email from an important Cupid Corp client. I clicked on it and I immediately started frowning. He already has a headache. Another invitation for a business lunch. That in itself isn't a problem, but they also want me to bring my wife along. This was from an executive at a company that makes jewelry. Their president and I have a close business connection. He always wants to have these family meals. The idea that is that close personal relationships can lead to closer business relationships. Building those relationships strengthens trust, so it's important to them to interact with the client's family. If he trusts me enough to bring his wife to our meeting, I can't just show up alone. That impacts my reputation without a doubt. Clients always talk about how much they want to meet my wife, and I always do my best to come up with excuses to avoid that. His imaginary wife. But if I say she's introverted, they say that's fine with them. If I say she came down with a cold, they say she should join as soon as she feels better. I know full well that my excuses are starting to sound more forced by the day. But I have no choice, because my wife doesn't actually exist. Which is why I thought that it might be nice to join in on this matchmaking stunt. But I never imagined getting married anonymously would be quite this difficult. You think? In this day and age, people can live totally free romantic lives or experience the joy of married life as they desire. I thought I could find at least one person willing to get married without meeting me, and didn't care much about married life. But the final result? 0. No, 0. I didn't expect to get 0 matches despite using my own company's service. I'm gonna narrate with my own voice, or else my voice will get tired. Of course, a careless partner would expose my secret right away. I have to be prudent. But that prudence just makes it that much harder to meet someone. She told me I was too secretive. She said I should at least share my company's name, but obviously that had to remain top secret. After all, Shelby Snail, the president of Cupid Corporation, has a reputation as a devoted husband. If I can't even say where I work, it makes sense I can't get married. Status matters in the matchmaking market too, it seems. Our data suggests that those with high income but questionable employment do have trouble getting married. I considered developing a totally anonymous matchmaking system, but I realized that I was just avoiding reality at that point. Anyway, this was an email I had to deal with at the moment. But I've had a good working relationship with this person for a while. And to be honest, I was starting to get tired of having to lie all the time. It wasn't fair to him either. He trusted me as a business partner. And now he wanted to see me as a part of his family too. A person of high social standing would respond to that in kind. Will I continue to cling to this status, even if I have to lie? But if the truth got out, it would destroy our stock value. I don't need a financial advisor to tell me that much. Still, my heart was telling me no. No caring human could be okay with continuing to lie to others like this. I thought about my old classmate at our advertising agency, who came up with the husband-president idea in the first place. If I confided in Anthony about all this, he'd just laugh and say I was being naive. 32 might not sound young in general, but it's definitely young for a company president. I am still not ready to give up some things. Even if I said something to him, he'd just tell me to keep going with the lie. But I've noticed some tabloids talking about me not actually being married. They're starting to snoop around for secrets. Looking at my call history, I frowned again. I got a call from the security company I'd hired to keep an eye on things. They'd been calling me more lately. Someone trying to open my door, someone taking pictures of my building. Which meant that someone was trying to get into my house. There was no doubt that someone was looking into my private life. Luckily, nobody has been spotted trying to get into the place where I actually live. The security company only ever contacted me about my second home, the house where we lived for Parasite House. But my apartment was on 8th Avenue, and I was glad to know it was safe, for now. But no one can ever know about it. After all, it's an apartment meant specifically for single people. If people keep snooping around, they'll find out I don't live where they think, and they'll start looking for my real home. I need to figure something out before things go too far. But my matchmaking efforts have failed again and again. I checked my emails again. It's not like I was completely heartless. Lying with a straight face was getting harder and harder. I feel like it's about time to give in. Generally speaking, sure, but status and looks aren't what matter to me. They aren't. Why is that? Well, because I don't think that's where a person's value comes from. It's what's on the inside that matters most. For some reason, I recalled that conversation I'd had with her. She was always so straightforward. She was so intent on getting everyone married, it's like she forgot it was just a job. Like she was the actual Cupid. We have plenty of passionate employees, of course, but few that had absolutely no regard for their personal advancement. Which is why I had the sudden urge to consult with her. Up until now, I've only ever talked to Owen about this kind of thing. I got the sense that she knew how to keep a secret, that she wouldn't thoughtlessly vent to others about her personal life. I considered whether I should reveal the truth or keep it a secret. After some hesitation, I began typing an email. Next up is entertainment news! Recently, an actress who's due to a recent photo shoot was a candidate for CC's President Snail's wife denied it on her Instagram. In contrast, Miss May, a fashion model, has claimed to be his wife, but Mr. Snail has denied it, and people are going suspicious. So more tabloids. The news is on him. This could be a problem. That's definitely her in the picture. I hope she doesn't end up getting dragged into something weird. Oh. Claire's has her back. Several days after all the Parasite 5 had left, other than Monsieur Essay, I was told to return to my normal duties. Alright, I think at the end of the common route, like, everyone tells you that they're quitting. Let's see, I don't have any meetings planned today, so maybe I'll get in touch with new members with some recommendations. I grabbed the folder with the profile sheets of all the members I was managing. I looked through it and I noticed the old Parasite 5 sheet still stuffed inside. Ah, the memories. That reminds me, Mr. Snail said that Monster Essay's membership status is currently on hold. I hadn't heard from him in a while, and even Owen hadn't been touched, so for the time being, I just left it alone. But he's still technically a member, so I should try to find something I could do for him. I heard the chime that told me I had a new email. I saw that it was from the president. I opened it, and the message was pretty simple. He wanted me to come to his office. Could this have something to do with Monsieur Essay? If so, it was perfect timing. I replied telling him I was on my way, then I got up and head straight there. Excuse me? Oh, hello. Sorry to bother you while you're trying to work. Mr. Snail looked at me from across his desk. He looked much more exhausted than when he'd called me up here at 5 in the morning. So, what did you want to talk to me about? I'll be direct. I am Monsieur Essay. Oh, he just says it. Well, that makes the route less complicated, I guess. Huh? I'm sorry, I must have misheard you. You said... Come on, Lynette, you had suspicions. I joined the Parasite 5 as Monsieur Essay and hired Owen to represent me. Which means, of course, that I'm not actually married. The president was part of the Parasite 5? Mr. Snail, who'd become famous for his devotion to his wife, didn't actually have a wife. And was using a matchmaking service? What? You're Monsieur Essay? Wait, it all makes sense now. Naive. I was surprised at first, but as soon as I heard it, everything fell into place. Thinking about it, Mr. Snail had never really acted like he was married. At Parasite House, he only ever had his jelly drink for breakfast, and he was always answering emails, even mid-conversation. He spent every waking moment working. I always wondered what his wife must be like, and even doubted her existence at times. Is that so? If it's really that obvious, I guess it's about time to call it quits. Call it quits? Did something happen? Well, I'm supposed to meet a client for dinner, and he asked me to bring my wife with me. His business is crucial to us, so I've been making up excuses and meeting with him by myself. But I finally run out of excuses. He always brings his wife with him, so my behavior has been frankly dishonest. I decided it's best to just tell him the truth. Huh? You mean, you're gonna tell him you're not actually married? Shh. Not so loud, please! They might hear you outside this room. Oh, sorry! I put my hand over my mouth out of nervousness. Mr. Snail sighed. I could hear the exhaustion in his voice. No, it's only natural you're surprised. I'm sorry. You're my employee. I shouldn't be placing this burden on you. But the fact is, I feel like I'm completely stuck. I was hoping to pick your brain for any ideas or advice you might have. Ah, I see. Well, why did they think you were married in the first place? Well... It started as a bit of a misunderstanding. Mr. Snail began to explain how it happened. It all began around 4 years ago. This would have been when I was 28. He was being interviewed for a TV show, and the host got the mistaken impression that he was married. Since he ran a marriage agency, the host thought Mr. Snail himself must be married too. But Mr. Snail thought he was talking about the agency's members. Apparently the whole conversation didn't make a lot of sense. Mr. Duff, Cupid Corp's top ad agency guy, was there too, and he kept pushing Mr. Snail to keep talking. By the time he realized what was going on, it was too late. It was a live broadcast, so he couldn't exactly walk back what he said. So instead, he took the experience of a recently married friend as his own, and the studio ate up the entire thing. Afterwards, social media started talking about what a loving and devoted husband he was. Mr. Duff saw what a huge reaction it was getting, so he just spread even more rumors all over the internet. Mr. Duff! Ah, God, the web of lies. By that point, it was far too late to turn back. And it just kept going like that, day after day, up until now. I see. It sounds like you're doomed from the start. So you think so too. He let loose another huge sigh and leaned his elbows on his desk. It started with an honest misunderstanding, but I went along with it in order to help the company. I felt like I was trapped. Anyway, that's basically the whole thing in a nutshell. My problem now is that I'm not sure how to respond to his latest invitation. I always tell him how shy my wife is, or how she's not feeling well that weekend, and all my excuses now sound forced and fake. But of course, as soon as I tell one person outside the company, it'll spread, and eventually the entire city will know. So I've been thinking, maybe I should hold a press conference and announce it there. A press conference? I really don't think you should do that. Imagine what it might do to the company. Oh no, Lynette. I guess she's being pragmatic, being practical here, thinking of the big picture. Ah, I couldn't stop myself from blurting out my honest thoughts. Later on, I felt like maybe I'd gone too far, but at the same time, I truly thought someone needed to rein him in. But... Mr. Snail, Cupid Corp's entire reputation rests on the perception that you're a devoted husband. Right? And if the company goes down, she's not gonna get that promotion and show her dad. Can't imagine how many members came to us because knowing the company president was married made them feel reassured. How do you think they'll feel if they find out the truth? Gah. If the people who trust us feel like we betrayed them, it's game over. Our stock could plummet. It might even mean bankruptcy. And if that happened, it would mean my dad was right. And I could hear him as clear as day gloating and saying, "I told you so." Okay, it all goes back to that. But I have evidence that someone's snooping around my private life. If it's going to come out anyway, I'd better do it myself. Someone snooping around? Do you know who? I don't know the details, but I did receive a letter that said simply, "You're a scam artist." Oh. And there have been a few magazine interviews where people have expressed serious doubts about me being married. I believe someone out there knows for a fact that I'm not married and they're on the crusade to expose me. Mr. Snail dropped a magazine down in front of me. The title of the article was "President of Cupid Corp a Fraud? Devoted Husband or Big Fat Liar?" What a title. How awful. It's not like you intend for any of this to happen. These people have nothing better to do than to go after someone who, as far as they knew, has been happily married for 4 years. And lately, they've really started coming out of the woodwork. Just as a competitor came to the scene. I hope it's a coincidence, but I wonder who it is. Ah. The news article. I'm paying good money to be a member, you know. You'd think they'd have some better choices, right? You make a good point. By the by, did you know that there's a new marriage agency here in our beloved Los York? Oh yeah, what was it called again? That's a weird name. Anyway, they've got a free trial I was thinking of trying out. That's right. A new marriage agency popped up just recently. It's too risky to accuse someone without evidence. There's too many disgruntled former members and other grudge holders. He was right that there were plenty of members who would hold on to the anger of paying their fees and never getting married. There's also that incident with the blog the other day, and plenty of people have been disparaging Cupid Corp on the news lately. If they found out the president wasn't married, it'd be like tossing blood in the water. But what if we said that he and his wife had separated or something like that? No, that would cause the same problem. A drop in stock prices and memberships, and the tabloids would have a field day. My next thought was actually trying to find him someone to marry as soon as possible. But we wouldn't be able to reveal who my client works for, and then we're getting into fraud territory. If you got married and then this all came out, it'd be a total disaster. So it'd have to be the perfect partner. This is a tough one. We can't make a public announcement, but we don't have any leads for a quick marriage. What other choice do we have? 2 options came to mind. They live your own lives, or I could pretend to be your wife. The right answer is I could pretend to be your wife. For it to really work, we had to make a public announcement, so... Of course, I understand. Then it's decided. I'll pretend to be your wife until further notice. Oh no, partners in crime. Wait, what? He shouted out and shot up from his chair. How can you just say that so decisively? Because it's clearly the best way for you to keep your secret. My first thought was, does Monster Essay have any friends or acquaintances that would be willing to marry you? But no. Then I thought we could use a temp agency to find someone to pretend to be your wife, but that's an extremely short-term solution. Sooner or later, your secret would definitely get out that way. That kind of worker handles all sorts of jobs after all. True. Whoever I hired to be my wife might get another job as someone else's wife later on, which would just cause more trouble. Exactly. But as your employee, my fate is linked directly to the fate of the company. I feel like this is a PR issue, an HR issue, something against company policy, like do not date your boss or pretend to be married to your boss. It's like a whole can of worms here. I've never dated anyone else, and I'm not planning on dating anytime soon, so there's no problem. I'm not sure I go quite that far. Why are you acting like you've come up with the most perfect plan? Huh? But haven't I? This way you don't have to disrespect your client and your company's future is secured. Like, Lynette's just like, not even like against the idea, just like, oh, this is a perfect idea. Like, she's the cause of all this. Not like some other protagonist who just somehow gets roped into it. No, hearts. That was the right answer. But what about you? What about your feelings? What about them? I mean, what about your parents? What would they think about you pretending to be my wife? Huh. Like you said, I'd just be pretending, so why would they care? I mean, it's just kind of a unique case when it comes to parents. Besides, they live far away. Trust me, they wouldn't get involved. There's nothing to worry about there. Far away was an understatement. In reality, they were up in Celestia, and they didn't have exactly a human sense of morality. Plenty of Lord Jupiter's exploits would be considered truly scandalous by human standards. The gods don't care about that. My goal is to get that promotion, right? And I can't exactly get it if the company goes under. You'll date your boss to get that promotion. But marriage is supposed to be a once-in-a-lifetime sort of thing, right? I can't ask you to go through with such a life-changing event on a whim. Don't worry about me. I'll be fine. After all, I'm Cupid. Eventually, I'd have to return to Celestia. I have no personal concept of marriage, so to me, it's just like playing a role. To be honest, it sounded kind of like fun. Oh, but if you don't think I'm a good candidate, I'm happy to withdraw from consideration. No, that's not it. Obviously, you'd be helping me out in a major way. It's just that he's inconsiderate. He doesn't want to put you in that position and, like, get you stuck. If you think it would help, then that's that. Let's work together to be fake married for as long as you need. I held out my hand so we could shake and make it official. Mr. Snail just stood there, frozen. No, wait. Let's just slow down and think about this. Do you really think we can play the role of a couple in love? We'd lived together during Parasite House, but we're basically strangers. We don't know each other's habits or preferences or... Oh, then we should probably live together, huh? Wait, what? After all, you said someone had been snooping around, right? Living together would throw them off the trail, too. It's actually perfect. Living together is the best way to play our parts to the fullest. Huh? I hate the idea of people sneaking around spying on you in secret. Let's show those jukes who's really in charge. Once they see you really do have a wife, I'm sure they'll give up and slither away. We just need to keep it up until then. His two goals were to convince his client that he was married and then get those dumb paparazzi off his back. Living together was the best solution for both of those things. In fact, I couldn't see it any other way forward. Shelby has a headache. For his part, Mr. Snail was frowning even more than usual. I could tell he still had serious doubts about the whole idea. Maybe he just doesn't think I'm reliable enough? I'd be pretending to be his wife of the president of the Cupid Corporation. But I was only a second-year employee, so maybe he just didn't have enough confidence in me. Please don't worry, sir. You just need me to do my part at work meals and dinner parties and stuff, right? I'll be sure to practice. Oh, but my table manners might need some work, so could you help me with that? I promise I'll work hard to learn properly. No, that's not the issue here. I feel bad for Mr. Snail now. Got the perfect solution, but now he has to deal with Lynette. Also, if you remember, I've already been photographed and labeled as President Shelby Snail's wife. Yeah, that's right. Exactly. So I say I'm the perfect fit for this role. But you had the glasses. You had the disguise. No one could recognize you. Of course, I realized I had to keep it a secret from my friends and coworkers, or they certainly start asking questions. If they ever found out, I'm sure they'd be shocked at the lie. That you were never actually married, I mean. And you really aren't forcing yourself to do this. Of course not. I want to protect the company too. As Cupid, it's my duty to connect as many people as possible. This company is the best way to do that, so I want to keep it safe. Well then, if I really do want to protect the company, I guess this is the best option we have. We can deal with the devil here, or making a deal with Cupid, rather. It looked like Mr. Snail was finally relenting. He sighed and looked up at me. Alright, I would appreciate it if you take this role. But I insist on treating it as part of your job, so I'll have a contract drawn up and we'll decide on an additional salary. Oh, that's nice. Getting paid for this. If you find any of it not to your liking, we'll cancel the entire thing immediately. Is this acceptable? Yes, absolutely. I gave him a sharp salute. His face was an inscrutable mixture of emotions. One thing was clear, though. He'd obviously resigned himself to his fate. Anyway, I can't really go into details, but at least for a while I won't be staying here. I guess it's Lynette. Lynette's moving out of her house, her apartment. I went straight home after work. Obviously, I didn't tell her everything, but I let Clarice know that I would be home for a while. For now, I'd be living at Mr. Snail's second home. In other words, the same place where we shot Parasite House. The president himself had his own place where he usually stayed, but apparently it wasn't appropriate to have a roommate there. Besides, he bought his second home as a place to entertain guests, so it was the perfect place for him and his wife to meet clients. Which is why Parasite House was chosen as the ideal location to stage Operation Pretend Marriage. So you can't go into the details, huh? Well, if that's what you want, then I guess it's fine by me. It is! I'm not sure how long I'll be gone, maybe a month or two, but I promise I'll be back eventually. Oh, and of course I'll keep paying my share of the rent, so don't worry about that. Ah, well, that's good at least. I assume you won't mind if I bring guys home once in a while, then. I mean, you do that even when I'm here, so... I started packing up my travel bag. The house had all the normal daily necessities, so I just grabbed clothes and makeup. There's not enough room for me to bring everything I want, but I can just come back and grab more later. Oh, Chi? Chi hopped over to me with a confused look on his face. After a second, he realized I must be headed somewhere. He hopped into the middle of my clothes. Apparently, he was coming with me. Since Clarice was still standing there, I couldn't say anything to him, so instead I just closed up the bag. Chi? I had my clothes and Chi, everything I needed to get started, just shoved him in. It's like, alright, zip. Okay, I'm off. Oh wait, you're leaving right now? Yep, I've got a car coming to pick me up. After our meeting, we worked out the details. A moving company would have raised suspicion, so Mr. Snail would pick me up. Just as I mentioned my ride to Clarice, I heard a car pull up in front of the apartment. Oh, that must be him. Okay, Clarice, see you later. I gave her a quick wave and headed out the door with the bag in hand. I hoped that the next time I saw the apartment I'd grown to love so much, all the trouble would have passed. Though someone came to pick her up, and she's not gonna go home for who knows how long. Did she land herself a boyfriend? If so, I'll have to do everything I can to support her. Things are finally starting to get interesting. Clarice is into it. Hang on a sec, I gotta like blow my nose, let me mute myself. Sorry about that. Around 8 o'clock at night, Mr. Snail just finished helping me bring in my luggage. Woo, that should do it. Thanks a bunch. Of course. And here's the finalized contract. The paperwork was labeled Spouse Proxy Service Purchase Order and included a non-disclosure agreement along with it. It had clearly defined work hours along with a list of expected duties and a stipulation that extra tasks would earn extra pay. The president sure is thorough when it comes to stuff like this. Wants you to feel compensated. It finally started to sink in that, along with all my normal work, I'd actually be pretending to be his wife. I flipped through the contract. When I got to the detailed compensation section, my eyes nearly popped out of my head. Are these numbers right? You're sure I should be earning this much? I'd say it's a fair rate. This is a private matter, so it's coming out of my own personal funds. In other words, the company wouldn't be paying for it directly. He really does take everything so seriously. Then I'll make sure to work hard and earn my keep. I grabbed a pen, signed the papers, and handed them back to Mr. Snail. I appreciate that. For now, I need to head back to the office. Feel free to spend your evening however you wish. Huh? But it's already 8 o'clock. That's true. Which means there are still 4 hours left until the day is officially over. Dang! He wakes up at like, I wake at like 5 a.m. and he's like working till 12. The workaholic. Not gonna be able to see him that much. Mr. Snail really is a true workaholic. To him, 8 o'clock meant that there's still plenty of time left in the day. I'll probably be back before 1. I'm not sure exactly when though, so there's no need to wait up for me. Dinner with the client is in 3 days and we'll host them here. Please make all the necessary arrangements by then. Considering how much time you spent here during Parasite House, I assume you know your way around the place. Huh? So you already want to use the house for a dinner party? Indeed. I mentioned bringing my wife, but they're surprised that my shy and sickly wife would want to leave the house. And if we did go out or even got a private room, we would be risking the possibility that some reporter might snap another photo. If it were just the back of your head like before, that would be fine. But if they got the shots from the front, it'd all be over. So I realized it would be much easier to keep our secret if we had dinner here and extended an invitation. I know a chef I can trust to cook for us. Of course, if hosting the party is too much of a strain, I'll come up with another plan. Oh no, not at all! You can leave all that to me. I've always wanted to host a dinner party. We actually had lots of parties at our place during college, but usually Gil or Claris took care of everything. So this would be my first time playing host. At such a nice house too! I started getting excited just thinking about it. I see. Well, that's good then. Mr. Snail breathed a sigh of relief and seemed to relax a bit. As the president, he could just have ordered me to do it, but he was always so considerate, so he must have felt really guilty. Thank you. And I'm very sorry for making you do this. Don't be sorry. The fate of the entire company is resting on this project after all. I suppose it is a project, isn't it? That's an excellent way of putting it. The president allowed himself to smile just a bit, but quickly turned serious again. If it's not too much trouble, feel free to refamiliarize yourself with the house before the party. They'll likely assume you picked out the decor, and comment on it accordingly. If you want to change anything, just let me know. I can arrange to bring in contractors to decorate it however you like. Anyway, I should get going. Wow. Meticulous. Okay, take care. Alright. He walked out the door and I heard him start up his car and drive off. Standing there alone, I checked the time again. The lonely wife. Home alone. Ah, it's already 8 o'clock. I guess I already knew that. I thought maybe we'd have a chance to make dinner and eat together, but you left before I could even suggest it. I was sure he'd be having a jelly drink or protein bar for dinner as usual. Maybe I should try making him something tomorrow so that he can at least have a proper breakfast. I only had 3 days to figure out how to act like I've been with him for the past 4 years. And to do that, I had to spend more time with him. But wait. 4 years ago, I was technically still a teenager. Going by normal human time, I'd only been at the company for 2 years. Although obviously I was much, much older. Oh well, it's not like I have to tell them my actual human age. I'll just pretend to be a little bit older. But Mr. Snail is really thoughtful. He's fine with changing the entire decor to fit his wife's tastes. Clear that when he does something, he goes the whole 9 yards. But I actually like the decor, so I'll just leave it as is. But maybe I should place some flowers or at least add a few things of my own to make it look like people actually live here. If we're gonna pretend to be married in order to protect Mr. Snail's secret, I want to do everything I can to make it work. The kitchen looks too clean for one thing. I decided to make dinner in order to make it look like it actually gets some use. Gee! Gee! Oh, whoops! I totally forgot about Chi! Suffocating in your bag. Chi's cries from my bag remind me that I brought him with me. And that's how my married life with Mr. Snail began. He was almost never home. A lot of the time, he wasn't even in Los York. He was busy flying around to meetings all over the place. And when he wasn't traveling, he stayed at the office till past midnight, then left the house before I got up in the morning. How is he functioning? As the day of the dinner party approached, we only ever really communicated via email and messages. I don't know. It's gonna be hard to keep up the facade. Customer company president, of which I give him. He doesn't have a portrait, so. Hello there, Snail. Thanks for inviting us over today. I'm thrilled that you could make it. I was there welcoming our guests on my own. She was on standby in the bedroom before making her entrance to match her reputation as being shy and sickly. This was totally her idea. It never would have ever even occurred to me. The truth is, she planned the entire evening single-handedly, which meant I could relax and focus on our guests. But this would be fine the first time this would be the first time a client would meet my wife, so I was still nervous regardless. Yes, good evening. We're very excited, you know. So, where's that significant other of yours? She'll be along soon enough. As you know, she's quite shy, so it takes her some time to work up the nerve to come out. Now, this is his wife. My word! So she's really just like you described her. It's really quite adorable, if I'm being honest. I've told her all about you, so she's very much looking forward to meeting you. Please be patient with her. I led the guests to their seats, then headed for the bedroom. I quietly knocked on the bedroom door. As soon as I entered, I froze up and found myself at a complete loss for words. Wait, she's dressed right. All I had to do was let her know we were ready, and yet... Oh, is everyone all set? As she turned to look at me, I caught a whiff of some kind of elegant perfume. She looked completely different from normal. She had somehow perfectly captured the essence of a president's wife. I'm supposed to be the wife of a successful president, right? So I went with a more ladylike outfit. So what do you think? Well, yes, not bad. I mean, I suppose it looks fine. Great. Oh, and it just occurred to me, but Should I be wearing a wedding ring? I totally forgotten about that. I did have one I wore when I went for media interviews and things like that, but it seems wrong somehow to ask an unmarried woman to wear a wedding ring, especially to deceive others. It was a little too late to be worrying about the ethics of the situation, but I felt like some things just shouldn't be done. No, I don't think that's necessary. If they ask, just say you're having it resized. Oh, alright. Well, shouldn't keep our guests waiting. Shall we go? She was wearing a light red lipstick, and her smile was more reserved than normal. She slipped her arm around mine. She was so soft and warm. She was the image of pure femininity. Oh no. Shelby's starting to fall in love, probably. This is bad. It had been years since I'd been with a woman like this. I'd completely forgotten how it felt. All these years, I'd done nothing but focus on my work. And because of that, I hadn't made personal connections with any women. I hardly remembered what this sensation was like. If I know it'd be like this, I would put some effort into preparing for it, but it was too late for that. I cleared my throat in an attempt to rid myself of the embarrassing emotion, then stared forward towards the door. It's showtime! Oh, there she is! Look at her in her elegant dress, with her elegant hairstyle. They look like a married couple. Thank you both so much for waiting. Mr. Snail and I walked into the living room together. When our guests saw me, they gasped out loud. Ah, so this is a rumored wife we heard so much about. My heavens, you're absolutely gorgeous! We've heard so much about you. It's an honor to finally meet you. I'm very pleased to meet you too. I'm Lynette Snail. Thank you so much for visiting with us today. It's our pleasure, I assure you. I'm so happy to meet you. I could feel his passion in his firm handshake. For my part, I shot Mr. Snail a feeble glance. I was supposed to be the timid, frail Mrs. Snail. I had to appear as if I relied on my husband for everything. I have to make sure I'm not to forget that once we sit down to eat too. Just like the perfect actress here. Like considering her role perfectly. I could easily get careless and start talking the way I normally would. I committed myself to making sure that didn't happen. I apologize for missing out on meeting you so many times due to my unfortunate condition. But I really am glad to finally meet you. Please make yourself at home. I gave them my best elegant but delicate smile, then they just smiled back at me in return. Things seemed to be off to a good start. If I could keep this act as a president's wife, everything might turn out okay. But the truth is, I'm feeling kind of anxious for a totally different reason. I was more worried about saying something to upset or offend them than I was about having our lie exposed. Our guest today was the president of a famous jewelry brand. As a bridal advisor, I was perfectly aware of just how unpopular their products were among our members. I didn't want to say something rude and hurt our relationship. I saw why Mr. Snail was so reluctant to bring in someone else. No wonder he had so much trouble finding a compatible partner. A president's wife has to support him in any given social setting. It sounds old-fashioned, but it's still pretty important. His real wife would constantly be going back and forth with lots of different businesses. The pressure must be crazy. I'm sure his wife feels the same way. I should learn as much as I can from her. I looked over at Mr. Snail and smiled. I could tell how nervous he was in that moment. Oh. But the setting itself was surprisingly relaxed and the dinner was served. Mr. Snail had arranged for a trusted personal chef to prepare the meal. As we ate, we made friendly small talk. The full-course meal was really impressive, with lots of items I'd never had before. I made sure not to get too aggressive with it. After all, I was supposed to be weak and reserved. If I suddenly started eating like a professional, I'd lose all credibility. A professional eater. So I made sure to only take small portions as I ate. Honestly, it made me a little sad. Gah, I'm not even close to full. I hope there's some leftovers. That's all I could think about as I did my best to eat with grace. I also couldn't help but compare the two presidents. So, I've been dying to ask, how did you two of you meet? Oh yes, I've been wondering about that myself. I'm sure there must be a lovely story there. They're both clearly eager. I looked at Mr. Snail. It was time to move on to the next phase of our plan. He nodded at me slightly as if to reassure me, then took the lead in the conversation. Actually, we lived in the same neighborhood when we were children. That was the story we came up with earlier. If we said we met as students, they could look into his former classmates and the lie could easily be exposed. But as long as we kept it vague, a neighborhood friend could mean anything. Even the next suburb over, for example. I see. The same neighborhood, eh? So where are you from anyway, Snail? Wishington. Ah yes, good old state of Wishington. Is that so? Just so happens I'm from Wishington myself. The summers there are to die for. I completely agree. The missus and I spent quite a few warm nights in the local park. Wonderful, wonderful! So you two have been together for quite a long time then. Yes, but I was sick a lot, so I wasn't able to go outside as much as I would have liked. Shelby was always there to keep me company. As children, I was constantly asking him for favors. I'm sure I was the source of quite a number of headaches for him. I smiled softly to give off the air of a wife that's always relied on her husband and leaned on Mr. Snail's arm. The president twitched a bit at my touch, but he managed to appear calm as he nodded. Yes, that's true. She certainly was a handful back then, but then that's what I loved about her. So that explains why you never brought her with you anywhere. I understand completely. Anyway, I was just curious about her. I always heard about how devoted you were, but apparently nobody had ever seen her. Well, yes, I just love her so much. I wanted to keep her all for myself. He was clearly trying to brag, but there was clear hesitation in his voice. It was obvious how embarrassing this is all for him. But for them, I'm sure it just made things all that more convincing. The two of them were smiling openly at us. I would have done the exact same thing. She's your precious princess. If you'll pardon me for being a little forward. That's right. And we're so pleased that you let us meet your darling princess. I'm just sorry it took so long for me to finally let you meet her. And I'm sorry it took me so long to work up the courage to show myself. Since I spend so much time inside, I'm afraid I'm a bit lacking in social graces. I was worried about coming off as rude. I smiled and gently placed my hand on Mr. Snail's. I'm just glad that the first people I've properly met after all this time are so kind. Thank you so much for today. Oh? Has it really been that long? Well then, it's an honor to be present at the debut of your princess. Yes, I hope that our relationship will only continue to grow from here. The pleasure has been all ours, of course. Yes, I certainly wish for the same thing. The time felt right, so I softly cleared my throat. This was a signal that Mr. Snail and I had agreed on earlier. Lynette, are you feeling alright? Oh, is something the matter? I'm sorry, it's just my cough tends to flare up around this time of night. It's really nothing, but... I pretend to struggle to smile, then weakly placed a handkerchief over my mouth. It was all our plan to discourage them from asking to see me again or introduce me to other acquaintances of theirs. We needed to reinforce the reason why Mr. Snail's reclusive wife had never appeared in public for the last 4 years. We wanted something that felt realistic without coming off as rude, and this was the plan we'd come up with. I really did feel guilty for lying to them, but it was necessary to keep the larger lie from entering the public sphere. I felt like we were putting on a play, The Wife of Mr. Snail or something like that. At that moment, dessert was being brought in from the kitchen. There was quite the selection to choose from. Tiramisu, sorbet, the mousse were all placed in front of the others. Oh, that sounds good. I want some dessert. But of course, the sickly wife had only had enough appetite for a bit of sorbet. Rip, Lynette. You're probably like, man, all this fancy food, can't eat it. The dinner party had gone off without a hitch, and we escorted the couple out of the house with a smile. Once we were alone, I changed back into my normal clothes and sank into the sofa in my room. I'm completely wiped out. I figured that pretending to be a president's wife would be tiring, but I had no idea just how exhausting lying could be. I felt terrible for lying, and I'd never even caught a cold before, so pretending to be so frail was a real challenge. But I was a wife who'd never been seen in 4 years, and I couldn't mess with that backstory, so it was way too late to change it now. I do wish I could have eaten more of that dinner, though. Even though it was a full-course meal, all I had got to eat was the soup, the salad, and a bit of the sorbet. The main course was steak, fish, and pasta, and I couldn't touch any of it. It was my own idea, of course, so... You can't have a wife that's been too frail to leave the house for the past 4 years, chowing down on a giant steak. But the end result was that I was absolutely starving. I'd been a human for 6 years now, so I got pretty used to the rhythm of their normal human life cycle. So naturally, I got hungry just like anyone else, and my stomach would even growl. I'm sure Aunt Minerva would have been shocked. I wonder if there's any leftovers. I headed to the kitchen to see if there's anything left. And when I got there... Shelby has a headache. Mr. Snail was out on the terrace, sitting on the couch with his head between his hands. Sir? Oh, it's you. He jerked a bit, but looked relieved when he saw it was just me. Still, he looked more exhausted than usual. The lie is setting in. He's like, oh no, I'm really doing this. Are you okay? You look tired. Yes, I'm fine. I'm sure you must be tired too. I'm sorry for putting you through all this. But thank you for your help. I've eaten with them so many times and I've never seen them that happy. Every time we met, they'd mention how much they wanted to meet my wife. So I really owe you for today. I'm glad to hear that. But you really do seem kinda down. Are you sure you're feeling alright? I was just reflecting on how terrible I've been. He sighed and looked at me with a sense of guilt in his eyes. I'm sorry for making you lie like that. An unmarried young woman like you shouldn't have to pretend to be someone's wife. I'm sorry for burying you in all this. I really don't mind at all. I get to help protect the company and I'm getting paid to do it. It's 2 birds with 1 stone. But... Seriously, please don't worry about it. I could totally understand how it'd be if I were a human, but as Cupid, my entire existence revolves around helping others find love. The whole ethical dilemma about asking an unmarried woman to do this doesn't apply to me. The company's survival is what matters. Lying is pretty exhausting, that much was true, but that's nothing compared to the thought of the company going under. I appreciate your dedication, really. Let me know if there's anything I can do to make this easier. Whatever I can do to help. Well, in that case... I was thinking about what to say just as that moment my stomach let out a mighty growl. Huh? Was it? Please tell me you didn't hear that. The truth is, I'm kind of starving right now. I admitted I was hungry since I didn't get to eat much at dinner. He was caught off guard for a sec, then burst out laughing. Come on, don't laugh. I hardly got to eat anything. No, you're right. I can't imagine how tough it is to play such a fragile wife. Seriously, that much food isn't nearly enough for someone as active as me. So all I want right now is to eat till I pass out. I glared at him with an annoyed embarrassment. Eventually his own gaze relaxed a bit. I see. Then I'll prepare something for you right now. Of course, that just means I'll warm up whatever the chef left. Huh? Does that mean there's leftovers? Of course. I had them set aside your share and put it in the fridge. I'll go get it right now and just sit tight. He headed to the kitchen to warm up some food for me. Before long, the wonderful scent of warming food reached me and I started to get excited. Yay, food! Okay, next chapter. Wow, this chapter was an hour long. Alright, good time to take a break. I was expecting maybe 30 minutes, but not an hour chapter. Alright. Okay, did pretty well. My voice isn't used to like talking that much. Probably gonna be a little sore tomorrow. Let's save. Make a save file here. Let's keep going. Going along. Alright, next chapter, work before love. How long can we keep up the lie? So someone's probably gonna find out, right? That's usually how it is, or either someone's gonna find out or they're gonna fall in love for real and they're gonna try to make the lie real for themselves. Alright, anyway, I hope you guys are having a fun time with this, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.